You may have heard that Sean Diddy Combs was acquitted of the most serious charges against him. He was found guilty of transportation to engage in prostitution. Now the two sides are arguing over how much time that should get him in prison. He was denied his request to remain free pending sentencing, which happens on October 2nd, I think. He was smug and right back to his entitled self in court yesterday evening, demanding to speak to the judge personally when he gathered that he wasn't going to be allowed to remain free. Because earlier, once he had been acquitted of those serious charges and found guilty on the least serious, I mean, it's not a walk in the park, the time that you'd have to do on the prostitution counts, but it's way lighter than he would have gotten. He was super jubilant. He was allowed by this court to get down on his knees in the middle of the courtroom and pray to God, thank God. He's a God-fearing man. He's super faithful. In between beatings of the girlfriends he's with, he loves to beat them to a fucking pulp and then pray to his Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. That's how it works. So he, at that point in the trial proceedings, was like, the judge made some stupid, inappropriate joke about how I'm sure you'd love to leave the detention center, Mr. Combs, and inappropriate in tone and comment and substance. And Diddy was like, yes, he put his hands together like, oh yes, oh, laughing with his hands, like praying, please do that for me, judge. Give me a break. I threw up in my mouth. And then by the time they got back at 5 o'clock to actually issue a ruling on whether he could stay free, the judge, who was a newbie, had apparently spoke with some more seasoned judges on the bench in SDNY and said, get your ass back to prison. And at that point, Diddy reportedly looked stunned and forlorn, and his newfound hubris walked out the door with him because he was like, I just need to speak to the judge directly. He's convinced he's Diddy. He can charm his way out of anything. And I do believe his wealth, his fame, his swagger charmed this jury right out of finding that he had sex trafficked these women, not to mention guilty of the RICO claim, which I think they had him dead to rights on. So now they're arguing about whether he should get 2 years in jail per the per the defense, or 4 to 5 years in jail per the prosecution, and he'll already get time served for the 10 months in prison. What do you make of all these results?
Disturbing in a big way, shocking, I think. It was one of those things that as an outsider, you're watching this and you're seeing all these accusations, you're seeing all these terrible things, and it's hard to know what to make of it when it comes to the legal aspects, right? Sometimes I will say as an observer and not a legal expert like you, Megyn, like I see these things and sometimes I'm like, I don't even understand that result. You watch it from sort of a gut instinct at some level. And as I'm watching this, I'm seeing, you see these text messages. They tried to promote the text messages that looked like, maybe these girls were into this, at least at one point, and all of this, and it goes back and forth. And I just, watching him celebrate afterward, I was just brought back to the fact that I'm pretty sure I experienced, which was watching a video in which he beat the hell out of a woman in a hotel. Like that happened, right? Like that was a real thing. It wasn't AI. Multiple times. And, that didn't even seem to be dealt with here. It seemed to be like, oh, well, did he sex traffic these women? Was he using force to convince them to commit these acts of commercial sex, or was it just
coercion? It doesn't have to be physical force.
Right. Coercion. Yeah. Or even a threat of force is one of the standards, right? I think there's 4 standards.
Force, fraud, or coercion.
Regardless,
but yes.
Regardless, what do you mean? He didn't use force. He did. I saw it. I watched the video. I saw this happen, and I think that's why it's so shocking to the American people. Like, these are things that are so overtly over the line. If you do that thing that I saw on video one time, I never want to see you ever walking around again for any reason outside of a prison cell. Period. Yeah. That is already the fact that you can bring yourself over that line to do it just one time under any circumstance is more than enough. And, I don't know what legal loophole. I don't know if it was, they just thought they liked his songs from the 90s. I have no idea what the jury was thinking here. It doesn't seem to make any sense to me. But at the end of the day, what is right is the fact that a person who does that is not available in public to be able to do it again. And the fact that that might happen in a few years or maybe less is a catastrophe.
Well, look at this. Here's Deadline's Dominic Patton with a different prediction. Top 5.
You know, I hate to say this, but in America, you can just ask Bill Clinton, if you say sorry enough, eventually enough people forgive you. Being that he can now legitimately say he got off on the majority of these counts from a prosecution who way overreached and underplayed. Again, I don't understand why you do RICO, but you only charge one guy. Like, maybe you need to look up what RICO is. To that, I think that you are going to see how he plays out the next few years of his career, given or given not, whatever the prison sentence might be. I don't think we've seen the end of Sean Diddy Combs.
Oh, my God. Sean Diddy Combs, in my opinion, is an animal. He is an animal, serial woman abuser who is a disgusting pervert to boot. The testimonials right up to the moment he was arrested, when he knew he was under federal investigation, he was still doing this with Jane, not just the freak-offs where she didn't want to do it and he was making her go back out and do it, but the beatings. He never stopped. He loves to beat women. He gets a real Jones out of beating the hell out of women who are a fraction of his size. He thinks it makes him super manly. It makes him feel really powerful and strong and in control. It's so fun watching them bleed and need plastic surgeons and cower in fear and roll up in a ball to protect their internal organs and play dead so he might lay off of them and jump into the arms of the escort you've hired, shaking because they're so terrified of him. That makes him feel like a real man. But you know what? We're a real forgiving country. So sure, he could have a second act. It's a no. It's disgusting. How are we even having that discussion on the heels of this? I don't care that it didn't rise to the level in these 12 people's minds of beyond a reasonable doubt for sex trafficking. There's no question he did the beatings. He didn't even dispute it, Stu.
How could he? It was on video. There's no way to dispute it. It happened. We all saw it. You're right. He didn't even dispute it. And I don't know. We've had such an optimistic first hour in our chat.
We'll get back there.
Megyn,
we'll get back there.
Yeah, maybe I'm caught in that world where I don't think the American people are going to widely embrace him again. I hope he doesn't have a second act. I hope he never gets out of prison. My guess is he will eventually, and he probably will attempt it. He's a man that wants attention and certainly craves it. I really hope the American people don't do that, but we are at a strange place. I mean, we just went through several months of half the country telling us an illegal immigrant who was shipped to El Salvador was actually a hero, even though he also had beat his wife. And we were supposed to embrace him and be worried about protecting him rather than protecting the women that they were beating.
It's true.
That's a society that is at least partially insane. When you see something like this on video, the reaction should be really clear. It should be revulsion, and our laws should be set up to make sure something like that doesn't happen. They shouldn't be set up for all of us to sit here and whine about some illegal immigrant that came in and has committed multiple crimes, including physical abuse. That shouldn't be the thing we're looking to protect. That shouldn't be the thing we're all on TV yelling about, and we're all excited about making sure he's protected and can get back with his wonderful family life, which seems to involve fists a little bit too often for my taste. Instead, we should be able to unite around this. I mean, Combs isn't even a political figure, which maybe makes things more divisive. He's a celebrity. And, I saw outside of the courtroom people cheering, celebrating the fact that he had only been convicted on these minor charges. Putting baby oil on stuff like it was some hilarious thing. I saw some guy, you probably saw the same guy with the T-shirt that said, "Frico is not a Rico." And I thought to myself, what sickness has to get into your brain to not only maybe disagree with me and you on the merits of this case, but to want to print a T-shirt and stand out and celebrate a man who we all saw beat up a woman on video. To even if he didn't do that, to just celebrate, a level of sexual deviancy that used to be really easy to just to look down upon and say was a bad idea. All this stuff is now, praised and celebrated by a portion of the population that I think is small as a number, but way too big on an absolute basis.
It's disgusting. Since President Trump was sworn in, his administration has made enormous progress at a breakneck pace. But don't forget, while they are moving mountains for the good of the nation, you've got your personal savings to worry about. And one of the best ways to look after your savings is through diversification, particularly with gold, like from Birch Gold Group. In the past 12 months, the value of gold has increased by 40%. And Birch was an advertiser on this show 12 months ago. If you had purchased then, you'd be 40% richer today. Now's the time. Central banks continue to bolster demand for gold by burying in record quantities. Global instability and tension is high, and Birch Gold makes owning physical gold so easy. Easily convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold, or buy some to store in your home safe. Just text MK to the number 989898, and Birch Gold is going to send you a free info kit on gold. Look into it, see if it's right for you. There's no obligation, just useful information to help you make a decision. With an A+ rating, with a Better Business Bureau, and tens of thousands of happy customers, take control of your savings today. Text MK to 989898. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.